But yeah, so one is I'm traveling right now, and where I am currently, the internet is not as good as I'm used to. So it, you know, the video may skip a little bit or something like that, but hopefully, you know, the essence of what needs to be communicated is fine. But, you know, you may notice that from time to time the internet may skip. Second thing is the table that I'm working on is a little wobbly. So you may notice some wobble. Anyway, this is a couple things I wanted to let you know. Welcome, John. How's it going? Yes, it's like being at sea. Actually, maybe I should have just said I was on a boat. I'm on a houseboat right now. The internet's pretty bad. Cool. Well, let's get started. So for those of you who haven't done this before, joined us before, it's pretty straightforward. There's a Q&A button kind of somewhere beneath me. You can click on that, submit your questions, and I'll go through them one by one and answer them. If you have something, we'll see how many questions there are, but if things are more sparse and you do have something that's like more of a conversation than a specific question, I can unmute your mic and we can have a conversation. Sometimes it's easier to get answers that way if you don't have a specific question. So that's also an option. So with that said, I will wait and see what questions you guys have. All right, so the first question is from Michael. I've seen your guide about choosing countries in the checkout settings. My goal is only to approve people from UK for a certain product. Practically does, okay, so 3 parts to this question. 1, practically does that prevent someone from a country not on the list to purchase? Well, first of all, you can't do this by product. It's basically, it's a global setting. So either you're accepting people from the UK across the board or you're not. You can't do it by product. So this may negate some of your more specific questions. Specifically how it works is basically whatever countries you choose to accept. Hold on, I'm gonna close my BB things here. Specifically the countries that you accept to choose, when on your checkout page, you'll notice that there's a country dropdown. Only those countries that you identify as countries you want people to purchase from will show up in that dropdown. So if a person wants to purchase from a country that's not in that dropdown, they're not going to be able to, because that plays into the AVS settings, address verification settings for credit cards, and other things like that. Now, if you have PayPal, this really only matters if you're accepting credit card payments, because if you're accepting PayPal, it doesn't matter because PayPal handles all of that. And so these settings only apply to if you're accepting credit cards, and then it only will have an impact on address verification services. Also, this dropdown, if you have shippable products, it will influence what shows up in that dropdown. So like if you want to control what countries you ship to and you don't, you can use this for that. But essentially it's a global setting. You can't change what countries show up in that dropdown based on product. So I'm just saying all that long thing because I don't think the rest of your questions assume that you can do it by product. So therefore they can't be answered. So your second question has to do with approval. So ultimately, approval of credit cards comes down to the payment provider. And so that depends on a number of factors. So MemberMouse simply collects the data And when the form is submitted, it sends it to the payment provider. And we wait for a success or a declined response from the payment provider. Internally, what the payment provider does is it will verify in its own way whether or not that's a valid transaction. And typically it has something to do with making sure that the credit card number matches the zip code and the address. Now, the level of detail at which that this is done is there are usually settings within the payment provider where you can kind of specify the level of aggressiveness that you want them to do the address verification stuff. So I think that that's enough to be said about that. So this next question is from Susan. And David, I see that you put your question in chat. If you don't mind just putting it in the QA thing, because the QA thing gives me certain tools that allows me to know whether I've answered a question. It puts them in order amongst the other questions, so that would be helpful. Thanks. So this is from Susan. We're just looking at membership site platforms. We wanted to have a video content site up. In the next month. We have a WordPress website, but novice users, and it's an old theme. If we use MemberMouse and redo our website and change the theme, do we have to redo the plugin? Plugin. What plugin are you talking about? Do we have to redo the plugin? I'm not sure what plugin you're talking about, and that needs to be redone. Also, looking at a non-WP product, Kartra, never heard of it. I'm wondering the advantage of having a plugin versus a standalone platform. We need to work with authorize.net. Okay, this is a big question. So what do I want to approach first? So this comes down to a technology choice question. Like basically, what I'm hearing here is essentially, what is the best technological choice for me to use at this time? And whenever I approach those questions, it's never straightforward. There's a lot of factors involved in terms of what's the best choice. I go into a lot of this in a membership jumpstart 6-part course that I did. It's not really a course, it's more like a conversation where I share thoughts about this stuff, and when to use platforms like Patreon and Facebook groups and things like standalone platforms like SaaS-based platforms versus a WordPress site with membership plugins. I kind of go into that a little bit in that series, but I'm trying to find the right approach to this, because it's usually a question that I answer very specifically for someone. And I really need more details for you in order to answer it specifically for you. So I'm trying to find out, kind of what's the way that I can answer it with what I have. So the pros and cons are, if you go I'm not again, like what I said, I'm not familiar with what Kartra is. I've never heard of it. Assuming it's a SaaS-based system that gives you membership functionality, allows people to buy products. The benefits generally about systems like that is that you can get to market faster. Assuming that the product is good. I've never heard of them, so I don't know specifically, can't say for them. But assuming the product is good, the benefit for SaaS-based systems that offer a very specific set of functionality and you just buy it, and then you don't have to do any installation. It's all hosted on their site. The benefits of these is you can have speed to market is a little bit quicker, especially if you don't have technical experience. Now, the downside is anytime that you're having that trade-off of speed, and the way that that speed happens is that they really dictate a lot of what you can and can't do. Basically, there's a set of functionality that's offered. It's not WordPress, so there's no plugin capability. You can't, if there's a missing feature, you can't just find a plugin and insert it and have that, right? So the downside is it restricts your feature set. Now, this comes down to your growth path. Like, how big are you planning to be, right? So if you are if you're going to be anywhere under 500 members, really you can use pretty much anything that's a good product. Okay, you know, it's not, the metaphor I always kind of use is like, it's like if you're trying to sail across a body of water, you have a ship, and if you're looking to carry a certain amount of cargo, you know, even if the ship has cracks in it, if you're only carrying a little bit of cargo, even if the ship has cracks in it, you could still make it. But as soon as you weigh it down with more things, the cracks in the ship begin to show. And this is essentially what happens with, you know, SaaS-based products, where it's a very strict feature set that they're offering you, and you can't really enhance it. Because if you get to a certain point and they don't support something that you need, or if there are issues, then there's really nothing you can do about it, and you're stuck. And the biggest cost that you're going to have in a membership business, or really any e-commerce business, is changing your technology. And this happens a lot. Like, people use a certain product prior to MemberMouse, they get to 1,500 members and they start seeing the cracks in the ship, and then they look into it, and then they switch to us, because we, from the beginning, our stuff was designed to work with high volume situations. There's a lot of automation built into the platform to reduce costs associated with running a membership and e-commerce business online, like our automated payment handling system, and the flexibility you have for doing pricing and assigning access based on what's purchased. So there's a lot of flexibility. And of course, with a lot of flexibility comes a little bit higher of a learning curve. So it's really about, it's a lot of factors, and some of these are personal factors. Like, it's your willingness, you know, to learn a little bit of things, your willingness to take a little time to get to market, put in the effort. But the thing is, when you do commit to doing something with MemberMouse, it will take a little bit more effort, but the thing that you're built will take you all the way, you know, from 100 members to a million members, because we have customers who have that many members. So MemberMouse isn't going to be the thing that holds you back, essentially. So that's, I think that I've kind of said enough there. And as far as authorized.net is concerned, you know, we do integrate with authorized.net. So that's a checkbox that's easy to check off. One thing that I will suggest that you take a look at is our Done For You partnership with MemberDev. Excuse me. Cindy will throw a link in the chat. But essentially, with this service, you can actually cut out a lot of those unknowns that you have. It's kind of like, you'll work with them. They have a platform that integrates with us, so you can get the visual thematic elements done. And so that can be really helpful. In fact, I personally have an online course, learngungfutea.com, where I teach about tea ceremonies and stuff like this, and it uses MemberMouse, and it's built on the platform that MemberDev offers. So, you know, even I can totally build a membership site myself. You know, I have that experience, but, you know, it came down to it, I didn't personally want to do that work. It wasn't, you know, in the nature of the business, I didn't really need something super custom and everything. I just wanted it to get done, and I was willing to invest a little bit of money to pay somebody to do that. So that's another option that's available for you. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. So, David, your question. Okay. I have a free newsletter, and when I try to set it up under products, it keeps telling me I need a price. Yes. How do I make my free tier membership allow people to access my newsletter? You just use a free membership level. So products only become involved if there's actually a price to pay of 1 cent or more. If you don't have anything for somebody to pay, then you don't need a product. So I'll just share my screen with you and show you real quick. Okay, so basically, all you do is create a free membership level. So let's call this newsletter. It's a free membership. I'm not going to send a welcome email. And save that. And so now that you have this free membership level, you can go to your email settings, link to an email service provider. And when people sign up for this membership level, you can automatically have them added to a particular list in your email service provider. And so yeah, that's all there is to it. There's no products don't come into play. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up. Okay, this question is from Ava. If we are going to sell a number of video trainings on the site and users can purchase it one by one, can we create a page for users where everyone can only see and access their own purchased products? Yes, yes. So I'm gonna go jump over to our demo site, demo.membermouse.com. And this is a really good resource because it'll help you kind of experience MemberMouse prior to buying it, or even if you have, it's just a different setup. So this is a sample membership site. You can make a purchase, and I'm going to purchase this 15-day free trial, basic plan, click sign up, and you see everything's already filled out. You don't need to, using our test data functionality, you don't need to fill out any of this information, the credit card details or anything. Okay, so that order went through. It's just a sample upsell page, and there are videos on pages that kind of explain the functionality, the value of different features of MemberMouse. They're sprinkled throughout the demo site. Okay, so regarding your specific question, if we go to the dashboard here, you see that the way this is designed is we show these are all the courses available. Okay, and you'll see that some of these we can just view, and some of them it has this ad, and that's basically because these ones have been purchased based on the plan that I signed up on, and these ones haven't. So this is just one method. Okay, so I was just like, I'll just jump back into the thing that I was doing, talking about, showing different products and access to on the site. So this, you'll notice this little item up here is visible now. And I'm pointing that out because it's not going to be visible after I do something. So if I go to learn more, and now you'll see this video talks about smart tags actually, so you can watch this video if you want to learn more. But basically this page is designed to show one of two things based on if I already have the product or if I don't have it. So in this case, I don't have the product, so it's showing me a buy now button. But if I buy this and then go back, first of all, you notice that this is gone. And second, when I go back to the special offer page, you'll notice that now it's, instead of a buy now button, it's just saying access course. So this is done, and again, these videos go into precisely how this is done, but the Member Decision Smart Tag is a very powerful tool, so I recommend watching these so you understand how they work and how you can use them, because they essentially allow you to dynamically show or hide content based on somebody's based on the information about a current person logged into the site. And then this way, you can also build screens like this where you're showing a catalog of your products. And if they have purchased it, you show a button to view the course. And if they haven't purchased it, you show a button to buy it. So it's very straightforward to do using MemberMouse smart tags. So I highly recommend taking some time to watch those videos so you know how they work. Okay, so David is asking, I have digital products I create, ebooks and audiobooks. Actually, hold on one second. Oh, and just on that previous question, one more thing is, in order to set something up like this, you're going to be using bundles, you know, because that way, you said people buy things one by one. And so bundles is exactly designed for situations like that. So you'll create a product, associate that product with a bundle. And then that way, when people purchase the product at any time, that bundle will be applied to their account and they'll get access to all the content associated with it. And they can do it in any order, and they can have unlimited numbers of bundles applied to their account. So if you have a catalog of like 50 different offerings, ebooks, audio, video, you know, you can offer them in a view like this, where you're showing everything at once and people can buy them a la carte. And MemberMouse will facilitate giving them access only when they've purchased. Okay, going into David's question. I have digital products I create, ebooks and audiobooks. Should I use a third party like SendOwl to run with MemberMouse to protect my content from digital downloads? Each video course I create, I want to send by a drip function. You have that, but I want to protect my content. SendOwl does drip also, but I will not use them if I don't have to. So there's two questions here. One about content protection, one about, you know, dripping functionality. So MemberMouse does have drip functionality, but our functionality doesn't have anything to do with notifying the customer. So normally what people do, like our drip functionality essentially just has to do with content access. So you can specify, you know, when somebody gets access to the content, and MemberMouse will control to make sure that they don't get access until the point that you specified, but we don't send out any notifications. So normally what people do is, if you know you have a schedule of, okay, on day 1, somebody gets something, on day 3, they get something, on day 5, then you would integrate with an email service provider. And when somebody purchases the product that has a drip content release schedule, then when they purchase that, you would add them to a particular list in your email service provider, and that list would have an autoresponder on it that matches the schedule so that they get notified when content's available. So yeah, you would still need an email service provider if you do want to send them notifications. And then as far as protecting content from digital download, it depends on the type of content. So neither SendOwl or MemberMouse is specialized in functionality for protecting digital downloads once they actually have access to them. Obviously, they're protected in the sense by MemberMouse that you can't even see the video content, the audio or whatever, until you've logged in, right? But of course, once somebody's logged in, they could copy the link and share it and all this other stuff. So if you're really concerned about that, there are third-party plugins for WordPress that specifically specialize in file protection. I think that there's one that we kind of recommend in our support center. I don't know off the top of my head. But if you do a Google search on file protection WordPress, you'll see some plugins that offer that functionality. Now, before we got cut off, John, you had a question, I think, but I don't. So any questions that were there basically got lost when we got disconnected. So John, if you did have a question and you want to resubmit it, I can get it answered. Same goes for anybody else. If I haven't answered your question, then it was lost. So just go ahead and retype it in. Okay, so John, on push notifications, is there a way to send a notification that the membership is about to expire? Not using push notifications. I do believe we have a script in our support center, because this is a very specific scenario. The reason why this won't work with push notifications is because essentially a push notification is something that's triggered by an event that occurs that is initiated by a member, right? So they're working around your site, they click something, they purchase something, the access changes on their account, the status changes. It's initiated by some event, either the member performing actions or something related to billing. Billing fails, account goes into overdue status based on billing. So push notifications essentially are restricted to that. What you're talking about is more of a polling situation. In order to understand when a member is about to expire, something would have to continually be checking in with the database to see when somebody's going to expire. So it's a totally different type of scenario. And there, Cindy shared a link to the article in our support center that offers the solution for this. The reason that we haven't built something into the platform yet is because there's a technical challenge that needs to be properly understood and solved by our team, because there are performance implications with implementing the solution, and it depends very specifically on a number of factors. One, the environment, your particular server, your server resources, how fast it is, how much RAM you have, etc., the number of members that you have, the number of active subscriptions you have. Because basically, if you have a scenario where you've activated a cron job, like if we were doing this ourselves internally, and we had a way that you could just activate a cron job without any consideration for system resources, it could really overtax your environment, and then ultimately result in the experience that your customers, that your prospects and customers are having on your site is just a horrible experience because your server is so slow. And there are some warnings in that article that basically talk to this point, but that's the place to start right now. We do want to at some point make this, crack the nut and figure out a way to make it easier for people to do this. But that's the technical challenge that needs to be overcome. It's a similar challenge that we had when we implemented our reporting suite. It's the same thing, when you're crunching a lot of numbers, some of those reports are very powerful and doing a lot of calculations. And when you consider, sites again, that 1,000 members, 3,000 members, whatever, you can do it on anything. But whenever we implement something, we're considering the hundreds of thousands, the millions, because, that's really where the best solution is anyway, because if it's the right solution, it'll work with all scales, with all, and both myself and my CTO, we're both in a previous life, we're enterprise architects. We worked at Fortune 100 companies. So it's just the scale at which we're used to working with. And ultimately, we believe it's the best one to consider anyway. Because if you just solve a problem for the minimum scenario, which a lot of competitors and other people do when they're programming software, it'll work, but it'll only work until it gets tested, and then it's going to crash and burn. So we don't do things that way. So anyway, long-winded thing, getting into some philosophy of software and software development. But anyway, let me check and see what we've got here. So again, David, do you recommend using your third-party service you use for to make courses? Haven't chosen one yet. When you say the third-party service, are you talking about the done-for-you, the done-for-you service that I talked about with MemberDev? If so, then yes, that is specifically what it is for, designing courses. And oh, yeah, you want to create? Oh, you mean someone to help you create the content, like produce the content? in regards to your question about needing to update MemberMouse, and you keep seeing the thing, email support about that, support@membermouse.com. That's something that they'll be able to help you out with better than I can in this context. Just make a course like a teacher. So okay, I think we have a different way of communicating certain things, which is understandable. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you something. Yeah, so like my T course, yeah. So let me show you the T course behind the scenes, because this is using the platform that MemberDev created. So this is powered by MemberMouse and the MemberDev platform. So you'll notice when I come in the behind the scenes here, on the left-hand side, you'll see that there are these items here. This is specifically created by the course software, his platform, which is both a theme and a course software at the same, in one combined. So basically, if I want to create a course, I just come here and I click add new course. Now I only have one course right now. It's my Intro to Gung Fu Tea course. You know, I fill out the information about the course, and then there's some other things I fill out, very straightforward. And then I specify which modules are associated with this course. And the modules are created here, course modules. So here you can see I have all the modules for the course. So for example, I come in here, choosing the right kettle, there's a write-up for it, and then I can have a video embed that's for the course, an audio embed that's for the course, and I can add different resources like files and other things that are associated with the module. So it's really easy to set up. And then if I go show you what this looks like from a customer perspective, so if I go to the dashboard, I'm going to have to change my permissions here. So if I go to the dashboard, you'll see there's a welcome area. You can have show your latest content, and then there's a course directory. Currently, I only have one course, but if you had more, they would all show up here, and you can purchase the course or access it. So when you access it, it looks like this. So the main details about the course show up on the left, and then all your modules show up on the right here. And then you can click into a module, and here you see that video embed that I put, the audio embed, the write-up. It has this functionality you can mark as complete, you can add it to favorites, and then ultimately, you know, there's all these comments, and then you can go to the next and previous lessons. And as you mark as complete, there'll be a progress set up here. It's a really great platform, you know, and you're not going to have super amount of flexibility in terms of, you know, what it looks like. And it's essentially going to look like this. You can change the colors and things and work with them to do that. But that's, again, like what I was going back to before about that flexibility, the trade-off between flexibility and speed to market. So again, you know, in this case, it's much more valuable to get speed to market. I don't want to have to make all these design decisions. I don't want to think about it, you know, because once I think custom design is a lot more important pre-sale, but once somebody's purchased your product, it's more of a functional, the user experience is more functionally based. You want it to be easy to navigate. You want it to be familiar interfaces. So for my sensibility, this approach works really well. So this is just a quick tour of kind of what my situation looks like, but it's not expensive. There's like, I don't know his exact, but there's like a one-time fee that's just basically like, it includes consultations and getting all the specific data for your situation. And then they build it. So there's a one-time fee to cover that piece of period, but it's not expensive, at least in my consideration for what you get. And also knowing how much it would take to do it on your own, you know, considering all of that, it's definitely not expensive. Yeah, the link is in the chat. It's you know, you can either go to membermouse.com/done-for-u, or you can go to memberdev.com/membermouse. And then he has different tiers for the platform itself. Like I'm on the lowest tier because there are certain functionalities of this platform that I don't need. Like the platform also includes forum capabilities and a member directory if that's important for your situation. It also includes an events calendar and some other things, but I don't need any of those things. Specifically, all I needed was I need to put courses up. That's it. So I'm on his lowest plan basically, but yeah, it's a great platform. And the thing is, like, it's birthed out of I love it so much because it's birthed out of him doing custom development for our customers over years. So he started building sites for MemberMouse customers, and he's been doing that for years, and he does great work. And I've always been enamored by his sites and what he does. But the platform came after that. So that to me says that there's experience baked into it. And I always love things like that because that's essentially what MemberMouse is. That's how I approach software. So anyway, I personally resonate with it on a lot of levels, obviously, but okay, so I'll stop talking about that. Thanks, David, I appreciate that. Okay, so I think we're all wrapped up here. I'm in Joshua Tree right now. So yeah, that's where I'm in the desert. And visiting a friend. But yeah, I drove out here from Santa Fe, which is an 11.5-hour drive. So that was a journey. But yep, I'll be here for a little bit. I'll probably be here next week for office hours. Wait, will I? Yeah, I think so. But in any event, appreciate everyone joining. Thanks for being patient with the technical things. And I hope you have a really nice 4th of July weekend when it comes. And I will see you all next time. If you need anything in the meantime, support at membermouse.com. They'll take care of you. You're welcome, John. All right. Bye, everyone.